On today's show, we're going to be talking about Jamal Murray's debut with Team Canada. What do we want to see from every of the key players on the Denver Nuggets Summer League roster? And oh yeah, Grace is in the house. This is DNVR Nuggets. Oh no. Oh, baby.
Big show.
I took a walk today in the heat. You saw me. Just to get ready for Vegas.
That you're calling that a walk?
Well, it was 2 blocks. Yeah. What is, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show.
Let's go.
There it is. There was the energy. We are live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Very special show for you. Lots to get to. Brendan Voigt's in the house. I saw you on my walk today.
That's right, because I was going for a real walk.
Guns out. Sun's out, guns out for Voigt today.
Don't want to brag. It's my 3rd walk of the day. But, listen, that's not what this show's about.
Did you work on that project they sent you at all, or not yet?
What?
Okay. And then our special guest today, a rising star, Nuggets Twitter. It is Grace Jean. Grace?
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Dude, thanks for coming on.
You laugh at the idea of rising star, but it's true. You're kind of everywhere on the timeline these days.
Yeah, I mean, I tweet a lot, and I guess people share those tweets, so
yeah,
they made their way to you.
They're very good. You have a lot of observations. I was joking, I think, with Matt Moore the other day when he was like, I'm going to have Grace on, and I was like, I know that she watches every pod I'm on, and I'm on like 10 pods.
Yeah.
And I see that you're always on. How do you do it?
So I was actually just talking to somebody about this the other day. I actually have narcolepsy.
Okay.
And one of the things that helps me to not just stay awake, but stay engaged with other tasks that I have at hand is to constantly be listening to podcasts. And ever since I subscribed to YouTube Premium, I can have the videos on in the background as well. So everything I listen to and watch is usually like a background endeavor. And if something like piques my interest, I'll like type a comment or like clip a video and share it and just share my thoughts.
Wow, wait, hang on. You listen to a basketball podcast to stay awake? A lot of people listen to us for the other reason. That's impressive.
It is funny, though. That means you're constantly multitasking.
Yeah. I'm never not at least listening to or watching something in the background. That's just kind of how I do things.
That's wild. I think I'm the opposite. Like, I have a hard time. The only thing I can do while I'm listening to a podcast is mow the lawn. That's the only thing I can focus on.
It's a great thing to do while...
If I'm literally doing anything else, I will realize I'm not listening.
Oh, is that
fully.
what the autopilot is for in the Tesla? So you can just listen to pods?
100%, man. That's what you do.
You must have really good headphones then.
I do. The noise canceling ones.
Nice.
And then I have an electric mower. We're getting too in the weeds here. How did you become a Nuggets fan? Because you're not from Colorado.
So the story about that is that my fiance, he was more into basketball than I was a year and a half ago. And he convinced me to start watching the play-in, whereas previously I was more like, I'll watch the conference finals, I'll watch the finals. This was last year. This was the title run for the Nuggets, yeah.
You learned real quick.
Holy shit.
Has anyone ever told you you're a quick learner?
Yeah, they have. So I started watching from the play-in, and I was mostly paying attention to the West because I'm from California.
Okay.
And I saw the Thunder Wolves, that was the 9-10 game, or no, the Thunder Pelicans 9-10 game. That came down to the wire. It was really exciting, all of that. And then Thunder win. And I was like, oh, this team is like young and fun, whatever. Then they get shellacked by the Timberwolves in the game for the 8th seed. And so I was really mad about that because I'd watched that 9-10
because you've been a fan
game
for several days.
For several days at that point, exactly.
It's a heartbreaker.
And so throughout the first round, I had never watched a Nuggets game before, but I was just so mad at the Timberwolves that I was rooting for the Nuggets by virtue of my dislike for the Timberwolves after beating the Thunder in that one game.
This is a unique path.
It's the only one. I've heard a lot. You hear a lot of the same stories. How'd you become a Nuggets fan?
That's
the
a
first.
1 of 1.
That's really...
Not a plant for Adam Silver, just promoting the play-in all over the place. But that is actually how I got into this team.
If you would have said the in-season tournament, I would have agreed with you. I would have been like, come on. Which, by the way, I put this out on Twitter today that tomorrow it drops. Who's in group play for the in-season tournament?
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Yeah, it'll drop, so we'll know that one piece of the schedule.
Right. I was going to say, isn't the whole schedule going to take at least another month so before it comes out?
Yeah, it is actually about a month. It's always around August 10th, so you're right, almost exactly a month. But that part will come out, and I'm surprised that almost universally people said, who cares? Nobody is into it.
I want to know. I'm excited.
That
doesn't surprise me. But no, but that's actually really remarkable that you've been able to dive in. She's a great follow on Twitter. You guys should see. She's in the comments a lot. She really does have good perspective, and I'm now learning it's because you're a hyper focuser, like a double focuser.
Yeah, I'm known to go down rabbit holes a lot. Anyone in my life will tell you that. Basketball's not the first time that I've done that, but it's definitely the most recent, and I would say it's probably the most in-depth that I've gotten in a particular topic, especially just with my level of emotional investment. I've never really been part of a fandom like this with any of my other hobbies or interests, so I think that's part of why I'm so invested.
Gotcha.
In it.
I'm almost afraid to ask the other things. I almost want to go into it, but maybe not. We have too much to get to. Let's go to this one.
Can we acknowledge the elephant in the room?
Is it Kale is right behind us?
No, Kale, you're doing your job.
You're doing a great job.
It's just the third time you walk back. I got to acknowledge.
Do not call him an elephant. That is so rude of you.
My bad. My bad.
Last night, Jamal Murray took the floor to take on Team USA. Not alone. He was with Team Canada.
Jamal was out there? I'm kidding.
We're done hating, man. We're done hating.
I'm kidding.
People have been rough on Jamal, don't you feel?
I do, and I'm one of those people.
Me too. I mean, I'm one of them as well.
I was gonna say, including us into a microphone.
I said people to kind of soften it here, but I got to turn the page, man. It's it's over.
Yeah. I mean, Jamal is probably about 50% of why I jumped into my fandom for this team. I love him so much as a player.
Yeah.
All of my criticism and my criticisms of Jamal and how this past season went in particular are pretty similar to what you've already talked about on the show. But all of it comes from this place of, I love you so much when you are at your peak.
Right.
I just want you to be there more.
Right.
Totally.
That's, I think, everybody's feeling. And it's actually what is so frustrating about him is he is both the best and the worst, depending on the time. Well, last night he was probably a little bit more the worst. A very underwhelming game vote. First of all, the game, pretty sloppy. You could tell that both teams have only been together for a week. So that's the big takeaway. But the Jamal piece of this, what'd you see?
Very important preface, exhibition game, playing with a different team.
Sure.
And I think a different role. So I am not, as much as I opened with a joke, it was a joke. I'm not really here to bash him too hard for last night. But it's not like he looked great. I do think there was a little bit of searching for, like I said, the role, really. Where and how do I attack? It's not quite the same thing as balls in his hands and pick and roll all the time. So I think that's part of it. But to be honest, I kind of expected rust from a lot of folks last night.
Yeah.
And you got it.
And we got it.
Yeah.
And we got it.
Not from everyone, though.
Not from everyone, but I didn't have super high expectations for Jamal in a new role on a new team as massive underdogs in an exhibition game. I don't think last night was he needed to pass a test or anything necessarily.
Not at all.
But he certainly didn't look great. I can acknowledge that.
That's the big thing is you can't win or lose this exhibition game, but it was one where you okay, noted. Didn't look like he had the most pop. Yeah. Wasn't really a factor in the game. He shot 2 of 8, including 1 of 5 from 3. Grabbed 5 rebounds, 0 assists, 2 turnovers. Was a +1 in those minutes for whatever it's worth.
I'm leaving here with something.
With something here. But Grace, what did you see?
So the shot making was not great. I do think that my takeaways from that game had more to do with Team Canada than Jamal in particular, because one thing I did like from what I saw in Jamal is that he was moving a lot more off ball, especially like after that first quarter. And there aren't a lot of great passers on Canada. So he would find himself open a lot, and then it would be like Dylan Brooks, calling his own number.
Sure. You know who called his own number, by the way, a lot last night? Nikhil Alexander-Walker. Yeah. That's the most two-faced player in the world, because he's my guy. I don't know what it is. Minnesota has him in line. He doesn't do that for them. But every other time you watch him play, he jacks up the worst shots. Sorry, I just had to add that.
No, it's true. And I made this joke about a Lou Dort pull-up 3 in isolation that was the offense for a possession after they were down like 10 or something. And it was a Thunder fan who came into my comments and said, hey, that Lou Dort pull-up 3 is what got us Chet Holmgren. So
that's actually great.
The other thing that I actually liked about what I saw from Jamal is that he was incredibly active on the glass. You said he only grabbed 5 rebounds, but he had 3 or 4 big tap outs as well. And so I thought he was giving good effort, but I just wasn't impressed with the way that Canada was operating, particularly on offense throughout this entire game. And the FIBA spacing is something that loomed large for both teams throughout the game.
Yep.
So at any given point, the team that was actually moving the ball to create more advantages on the defense was the one that was scoring, and whoever was doing more ISO or one-pass possessions weren't scoring at all.
Right, and part of the role in the fit with Canada, they're so perimeter heavy.
Yeah.
And even Dylan Brooks, who I think started as a big for them last night, technically.
Yeah.
He's like a guy who is still kind of playing around the perimeter or calling his own number, as you pointed out. So they're figuring out that balance. And it did look like Jamal was, all right, where and when am I supposed to press my button here? And it's not like they have great bigs. So it's not like they were able to.
You don't like Dwight Powell? They have Kelly Olynyk, who's actually really good, I think.
That is true.
I actually thought Powell was pretty good defensively.
Yes.
Listen.
But maybe that had more to do with Embiid.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, so I'm working with juxtaposition here with Jokic for what it's worth. So
For sure.
I think both of those
sure.
guys are well short. But not to say that they're scrubs. It's just a different assignment for Jamal. And I do expect it maybe to take a bit.
Yeah.
And it's also not like he's it's a different roster for every tournament or whatever, but he hasn't been heavily involved in Team Canada. So I think
it's another good point.
I think he should get, there's a little leniency here in terms of how he's going to fit into it and where he finds his rhythm.
I was a little surprised he started, to be honest. So that was the thing I kept wondering was, will he start? Because even if you look at Team USA, is Drew Holiday one of the 5 best players on the team? No. But he probably is almost a lock to start, because there's so much talent that you need just a guy that's out there for defense primarily, and that's what he does. I expect Drew Holiday to start through this tournament.
Did Drew start last night?
Drew Holiday, I believe so. Did he not?
I don't think he did.
I don't remember. I remember Steph LeBron, Embiid. Yeah, Book. Yeah.
Oh, it was it Booker?
Yeah.
Steph and Book.
Oh, you're right. It was Booker.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I
it'll
remember
be Drew.
noting
You're
that
right.
Booker started over Ant.
You're right. You're right. That is exactly what happened. Drew Holiday, I think, will be that guy.
Yeah.
I just don't think you need Booker if you have Steph on the court and all those other guys who are shooting. And I think that's probably, I wonder if Canada will get to that same spot where it's like, maybe there will be a little more clarity. You mentioned he was open a lot but not getting the ball. Well, what's the point then? Maybe it mix up the lineups a little bit more and give him more free reign of that second unit.
True.
For me, here's the big thing about Jamal.
Says the little chat.
Adam advocating for Jamal to run a second unit?
Well, I know. What am I doing here? Okay. Here's the big thing about him last night, though. He looks so slow. His feet look so heavy to me. And that's the thing that I worry about with Jamal. He's a different player when he's quick and jittery. And this is true also, we were talking about, it is the off season for a lot of these guys. Team USA was the same way. There were a lot of guys with heavy legs. But you know who didn't? Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
LeBron James.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday just got done playing, so maybe he has, there's an excuse there.
He's warmed up.
But there are guys, and you look at it and you go, yeah, LeBron, why is he here after 21 years? Because he takes care of his body at the same rate. He just stays in shape all the time. Anthony Edwards is young and a super athlete, so I think it has a little bit of that. But there is just that's the one thing about Jamal that I'm like, even Devin Booker I actually thought was light on his feet, because I think Devin Booker is another one of these guys that just always stays in peak performance. But that to me is the one thing with Jamal is I just want to, my fear of him. I'm like, I know Jamal's the guy when he's in phenomenal shape, and that's the motivation I hope to see. And at least last night, it didn't look like it, but we'll see.
I think I don't know that he looked slow, but he didn't look fast. He didn't, like you say, he didn't pop. Right?
Well, he got the ball out of his hands a lot. I mean, Drew Holiday, look, that's a tough assignment. He was on him a fair amount. He just gave the ball up quickly a lot.
He did.
In moments where you're like, you're giving it up because you can't there's nothing you can do there. You're kind of in jail, so it's like, all right, get the ball out of my hand.
But also some of it I think was, to his credit, stepping into a new team, a new environment where
fitting in.
It's SGA. It's SGA's team.
Right.
And I thought he was, all right, I'm not gonna attack Drew Holiday here.
Right.
You know, that's not gonna win me much favor here in scrimmage number 1. So
Well, Dylan Brooks certainly didn't care about any of that.
that's a good point. But
Canada actually had some really bad play for guys that you feel like, oh, the
Yeah.
guys are coming together. This means something.
Yeah.
You had a lot of guys that were like, what are you doing, Dylan Brooks?
Totally.
And
Nikhil
most of that
Alexander-Walker?
starting lineup played together last
Right.
summer, and they played better than we saw last night. I will
Right.
say that some of the same issues that came up with their offense that led to them, not winning the World Cup last summer, reared their ugly heads last
Yeah.
night. But I do expect everyone to gel a bit more
Yeah.
as we get those. This was their first preparation game for both Team USA
It's
and
been
Canada.
1 week. They barely
Yeah.
know each other. They're just basically doing drills and stuff. Here's the last one, and then we got to keep it moving.
can I just say really quick
Go
that you
for
were
it.
right? Drew started at 3.
He
Oh, he
did
did?
start.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
there you go. All right. Here's the thing, though, my real note. Joel Embiid was worse than however bad Jamal was. Joel Embiid was worse, and it was hilarious. I'm going to have a hot take here because I don't want to just rag on Embiid, although that would be fun to do. He doesn't fit on this team, man. This team has so much scoring and so much other stuff. You talk about the team that moved the ball the most. Embiid can't move the ball. Here's my biggest criticism. I'm ready to plant my flag firmly. I've been saying this for like a year or two, but I'm ready to say it definitively. Embiid does not know how to play with other players. As great as he is, everyone around him just sits and watches. And last night you had like the greatest collection you could possibly give him. And he just kept getting the ball, holding it for 8 seconds, doing his dumb stuff, trying to
my
fall into a guy,
gosh.
and then fouled out after 12 minutes. Horrible game. That was an all-time horrible performance. I know it was an exhibition.
One of the first plays that I remember from him in the entire game was trying to draw a foul on Dwight Powell
Yep.
in an exhibition game.
Also, it's Dwight Powell, and there was no help. He
Nope.
was like looking around, like, are they going to give me ISO? Yes, and it's Dwight Powell. And he's like, well, what if I jump into him and fall?
I also, I mean, look, I am. we're we may have a bias with Embiid sometimes.
Of course.
Thought some guys looked annoyed with him out there. And I also think my favorite part of the game was when Steve Kerr talked about what went right for them. And I think one of his interviews, half court, and he had a lot of praise for Bam and AD.
Of course.
A lot of praise for Bam and AD. And it just seemed, look, man, it probably ultimately is going to help Team USA that they have Joel Embiid. But
Probably.
there's a
Maybe.
little kernel of but, and we saw the but last night. That's a tough phrasing. We saw the kernel last night.
Hold on. What did he say, Cal?
What did
we see last night?
What did we see last night?
Hold on.
The but.
A little bit of the butt.
A little bit of the but.
Yeah. I don't know. I just looked at it and I go, Anthony Davis fits so... Anthony Davis, for all of his flaws, he is a phenomenal... Oh, you don't need me to do anything but guard everywhere and just block shots and rebound. He's so good at that. Probably the best in the NBA by a mile. And guess what? That's all Team USA needs from that position.
And he doesn't have to cover as much ground in FIBA.
Oh, Anthony Davis, because he's packed the paint. Just kind of
Exactly.
sit there. You're 100% right. Anthony Davis is going to be a monster. My other takeaway, 2 other takeaways, and then we got to go to break. One, I had a lot of fun. I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy watching it. I enjoyed watching it. I was actually into it, and I'm excited. It makes me, every time a new Olympic thing drops, I'm like more excited for it.
Yeah.
Unlike Summer League, which is kind of like, what are we doing, talking ourselves into it? The Olympics, I think, is going to be really good. And my other takeaway is Team USA, the margin for error, I thought they were horrible last night. They won by 15. Their margin for error is insane if they figure out who their best guys are, because they don't really, in my opinion, have very many weaknesses. Their weaknesses are a lack of chemistry, which is a real thing, but they have shooting, they have defense, they have athleticism, they have offense, they have passing. They have a lot of things. Do you agree?
I agree. I think that one thing that could prove a stumbling block for them is just the same issues that Canada had last night and that Team USA had in that first quarter, right? Stagnation. I think part of the reason that LeBron looked so great last night is that he got to just be a hub, and he had all these great players around him flying around to get open, and he was finding them every single time because he's LeBron. So
Yeah, and I think the stagnation thing, when we talk about maybe is Team USA going to struggle to play like a team, sometimes I think a lot of it is when the guy next to you is Steph and the guy next to you is LeBron, it's probably like, all right, like I don't need to do too much,
Right.
or I shouldn't do too
You
much,
shouldn't.
but there can be a collective,
Yeah.
and that's what I think they were kind of working through early of, okay, but someone has to do something. But the pecking order thing is probably more out of an abundance of trust for your teammates, because you're not going to dribble 19 times when Steph's open. You're just not.
Except Embiid. So.
Embiid. It was not even dribble. He just holds it. He doesn't even dribble. He just holds and does this.
Because he's waiting for the
well,
pump
Lauren's
fake.
out there and I'll do that. It's so annoying.
It's not
How could you
fun
root
to
for that guy?
watch.
All right, let's take a break. On the other side, enough about Team Canada and Team USA. Let's talk Summer League, boys. On the other side.
The
boys
real
and
stuff.
gals.
The real stuff. When the Denver Nuggets are looking to fill some two-way contracts or maybe some training camp contracts, they bring a team to Summer League. For everyone else, you need Indeed. They're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate, well, it's not to search at all. Don't search. You got to match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global visitors. That's according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. And it's not just about hiring faster. This is something you want to get right, of course. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. That's according to a recent Indeed survey. And listeners of this show will be thrilled to know you get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. And if you need to feel like the Nuggets are in the playoffs again, you're going to have to wait a while unless you want to get your own skin in the game with Bet365, where they don't do ordinary. They believe every sport should be epic. Right now, new customers can choose between two offers when they open up an account at Bet365. Use the code DNVR365 to sign up. You know the drill by now. Deposit $10 and choose between either a bet and get offer. Place a bet of $5 or more, get $150 in bonus bets, or first bet safety net offer by placing a bet up to $1,000. And if your qualifying bet loses, well, you get a matched refund in bonus bets. How neat is that? You have to be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Plus 5,000, by the way, for the Nuggets to win Summer League.
Plus 5,000.
It's always the dumbest bet if you ever bet on Summer League champion. I think that would be terrible. You see some of the guys playing
favorite?
like Jordan, the Golden State Warriors.
Oh.
Kind of curious.
That's interesting.
I know. I was trying to figure out why.
Is it because they have like guys who started and were rotation guys for them?
The thing about it is winning it, even if you have that, those guys don't play after like 2 or 3 games.
That's right.
So by the time you get to the tournament, it doesn't make sense. I don't know. Cam Whitmore's playing a game, I'm told, which is kind of insane to me. Jaime Jaquez is playing a game. Jaime Jaquez played all year. Started a bunch of games.
I mean, Walker Kessler's already played. That's crazy to me.
That
Why
seems
are they
unfair.
doing that?
Yeah, that one seems mean. Who's making him do that?
You know what, though? I'm not going to complain because I would not mind if that became the norm, of that guys play Summer League for like 3 or 4 years. I'd be all right with it. It's more basketball for me, and I like Summer League.
I wish we had an equivalent that was just like 3rd and 4th year players, though.
Oh.
Because like Summer League doesn't mean anything. And like I get the concern about throwing your guys out there with a bunch of like young guns that are like trying to get their first NBA contracts.
It's true. I also think there's an enormous gap. Now, there's a talent. You know, some guys are just talented. But there's an enormous gap between a guy that's this good that played for 1 year in the NBA and a guy that's this good that just came out of college. I think that gap is really huge. That's a huge advantage. And it's why Jalen, Julian, and Hunter should actually really perform well this year. It'll be concerning if they didn't.
And to Grace's point, there's this weird mix of people who are there because they're Summer League legends, because they're fighting for some kind of training camp deal, or they're maybe like a rookie and this is their chance or whatever. But it is kind of a weird smattering of folks. So it's more fun to just be around, you know, than it is to watch, I'll say, like 6 straight games over whatever.
That's true. That's totally true. All right, let's get to the notes from practice today, and let's go quickly through them, because today wasn't like the most exciting guys you talked to.
Yeah, well, good news if you want to go quickly, because not a ton of notes. We did talk to Coach Munson, whose biggest priority, seemingly, was getting everyone out of the gym on time. I heard him mention that several times. He said doesn't want anyone late for that bus and that flight, which also is part of the job, he's finding out. He was asked a question about his respect for Malone, his understanding of his job, and how it's changed since he took this. And he said a lot. Not to say that he didn't respect him before, but just that there's a lot that goes into this, and it's not just the coaching. Like, some of it is things like making sure players make the flight on time, like the schedule is going the way
That's
you
the
want
coach's
it to.
job. The head coach.
I think maybe the summer league coach's
Can you
job.
imagine
I don't
that?
think Michael Malone has to.
Think of all he's focused on right now, and they're like, "Oh, by the way."
To be fair, there was a playoff game when the shoes got there late. You know, like stuff happens. So as a coach, you don't want to have to deal with that stuff. But there's just a lot going into it, a lot of moving parts. He's gained a lot of his experience, gained a lot of respect for Malone. As far as focus in practice, he said it was about attacking switches, which they anticipate of seeing quite a lot of at Summer League. Not necessarily part of their scheme, he said, but something that they know they're going to see.
They're not going to switch.
He just said it's not
so
necessarily a big part of
Well, because of PJ, probably.
I mean, but he's one guy. After that, they should. I mean, we'll see.
Who's the backup center for the Summer League team?
I'm not really sure who the backup center is going to be, but just like visualizing them out there, they're all small. PJ Hall looks enormous compared to them, and he's only like 6'10". He's not that tall of a guy, I don't think. Standing next to him, he doesn't look that tall.
No, he
does look very sturdy.
But yeah, it's not necessarily a huge part of their scheme, but he knows they're going to see a lot of it.
Man, all right, I'm thinking about this. Who's going to be good at attacking switches? Trey Alexander.
PJ.
Right? Who? Well, PJ Hall posting up, and that's kind of his best part of his game. So you're right, him. But I'm sitting here thinking, like, Julian and Hunter, I don't think that's a thing. I will say attacking closeouts, late switches, and things like that. But outside of that, Trey Alexander, that fits his game very nicely. PJ, it fits his game. DaRon Holmes was really good at this in college, so maybe. But when the part of the scrimmage we watched, he only posted up once and looked like he didn't want to.
Yeah.
I think a really important part of how to beat switches when you don't have a lot of good isolation players on your team is having the screener know the right timing on the slip as well.
It's passer and screener.
Right.
I mean, that is a real art. That's a very real art form. When to slip off of that.
Also takes
when not to. When to flip the screen.
And also something that you benefit a lot from having some chemistry, which is hard to generate and develop in this short timeline.
Well, that's why Hunter and PJ are going to dominate.
Yeah.
They did have a nice slip connection.
Well, those two are the guys that dominated.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. The timing you're talking about, Pickett is very good at this. These are the types of things that he is good at. The little timings of those interactions. He just has the timing. He has the reads. He has the look-offs.
Finally, for Munson, I asked him, what is coaching Summer League about for him? Is it about winning? Is this about development? And I thought he had a good answer. He said, yeah, for the organization, Summer League is about development, but winning is a part of development, and winning is always a part of coaching. Never a bad thing to win. So it is something he wants, but obviously...
It'd actually be so cool if he is the guy that wins.
Right. But from an organizational perspective, obviously, look, development, maybe you're hopeful you can fill out roster spots or just have guys in mind, right? Guys that stand out to you. But for Munson and the players, yeah, winning should be a priority because it's part of development. I liked that line.
Coach Munz, will he hop into the Mount Rushmore of Summer League Nuggets coaches?
I'm telling you, dude, nothing would be funnier than him looking unbelievable.
Number one, I think this is an easy one.
For Nuggets Summer League coaches.
Just my favorite.
Just do it. Don't.
Mike Nori to me, easily number one. I think number two, Charles Klask.
Okay.
Number three, Rybo.
Okay.
Number four,
Jordy.
JB, I think at the moment.
JB,
but that's the seat that's up that's available here with a little run.
We did speak with Parker Brown, brother of Christian Brown, who, as far as his own game, said, look, he understands that his role on this team and what he's trying to showcase right now is just doing the dirty work. He's not there to do flashy things, but he is there to try to play to win. Speaking of winning, we know his brother Christian Brown likes to do that. He's done a lot of it, and he hates losing. Parker gave us this anecdote. After losing Game 7, he said Christian Brown didn't even call him back for 2 days. His brother.
Wow.
Checked in on him the first day, didn't answer. Checked in again the next day, didn't answer.
We got to get somebody on staff that works with these guys texting. DaRon Holmes still waiting by the phone. Nobody's called.
That's a good point.
Just
call your brother, man.
I'm not even sure he's really on the team.
Yeah, so he said, look, Christian's just that competitive, and that as brothers growing up, they competed in everything, all the way down to who could eat their food the fastest. And
I believe that.
Then when asked who was the most competitive person in the family, we all expected him to say Christian. He said, my mom, and it's not even close.
I totally buy that.
I buy that as well.
Too.
Totally buy that.
And I think Christian's even told us something similar in the past. And he was asked if it was cool, for obvious reasons, to be wearing that Nuggets jersey. And he said, man, it's cool to be wearing any jersey. And I actually really liked that answer. We also spoke with Walter Ellis, son of LaFonso Ellis, who got some starter reps today, actually, I noticed, wearing the blue jersey. And, he played for Grand Rapids last year. So he said, yeah, I'm comfortable with those guys just from playing in Grand Rapids. I was just trying to be an energy guy, help out where he could. He says this is a pretty fresh experience for both him and his dad, LaFonso Ellis. It's a new arena, but walking in and seeing his picture on the wall was admittedly cool.
I'm telling you, LaFonso Ellis would be like Aaron Gordon. This would be like Aaron Gordon's son being on the Nuggets Summer League, which, again, so much time passes, the fan base kind of changes over. But it's actually really cool that LaFonso Ellis' kid is out
understandably the focus of a lot of questions while also wanting to ask him questions about himself. Obviously we want to ask him questions about him and his game, but, there's some history there, so we acknowledged it. And when asked if his dad had given him any advice on Summer League, he said, he played Summer League for Detroit last year, and now he's been in the G League. So he just feels a lot more comfortable. And he says shooting the ball is his calling card, but he knows that on this team, there are other guys who are going to carry the scoring load, the playmaking load. So he's got to be a defender, got to be willing to do the other things. I'll try to pick my spots and help out when I can, he said. And then finally, on the Ellis family, might be surprised to learn, guys, he says they're a tennis family first and then basketball.
What?
Which is kind of, am I allowed to disagree with him on that?
Yeah, I think you are.
You know what I mean?
I think they're a basketball family first.
And then finally he said, with the one-on-one games, his dad's a little older now, so he can't keep up quite as much as he could. But in the post, he's still as solid as ever. And when he was in high school, they used to play the Ellis family summer jam every year. And then his dad still got the hook shot.
LaFonso Ellis is the nicest guy, man. Really, really is one of the all-time nicest Nuggets.
He is.
I mean, he would have
Nice
100% been a Mr. Nugget in his day. So it's cool that his son is back here. Let's take a break. On the other side, let's start talking about these rookies and what we expect to see from them. Actually, not even expectation. What we want to see. What we need to see.
Dude, let's do it. But first, Adam, we have to talk about our good friends at Red Hawk Roofing. Play the sound, Kale. Yeah. What's that sound? Is it Adam whistling? No, it's a Red Hawk, which signifies that Denver's best roofers are in the area. They've joined the DNVR team as well. Quality materials, decades of experience, quick response time. We're talking about the Red Hawk Roofing homies, Colorado's best estimators and contractors. Also huge DNVR supporters, that doesn't hurt. And big Nuggets fans, so just chill guys to talk with. Every now and then, you ask someone to help out with you or your home or something, and that's all well and good until the small talk gets going, and it's mind-numbing. Not with these guys. Not only are they cool, they really like the Nuggets. You guys got plenty of common ground. Free no-obligation roof and property inspections, and they'll give you a free upgrade to hail impact-resistant shingles, by the way, as well. As you know, in Colorado, never really safe from the hail. Supporting your local teams means supporting local businesses like Red Hawk Roofing. If you are looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out Red Hawk Roofing at redhawkroofing.com or call 720-771-8921 and tell them that DNVR sent you. Adam, if you wanted to go to the mountains, but you wanted to feel particularly Colorado,
I always do.
So, like, what kind of car, like, what brand of car, like what would you pack all your family into?
It depends. I'm going up with the family, taking the Highlander.
Okay, as long as it's a Toyota, man, you're making a good call. Toyota's the official vehicle of
Me and Kale are going up, probably a 4Runner.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Look, there are a lot of options that you can take up into the mountains. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR, you should know.
If I hit the lottery.
And trucks have been a part of Toyota's DNA for generations. Toyota's built durable legends destined for greatness and perfect for our great state. They've got 17 models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the Epic 4Runner. There's the all-new 2024 Tacoma, the return of the iconic 2024 Land Cruiser. What a treat, man. So many options. The only hard part about this choice is choosing which Toyota that you want to drive off into the sunset. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets and the official vehicle of DNVR.
All right, we're back here. Let's get into the Summer League. It starts tomorrow night. The Nuggets are going to be on television. Should be an exciting one just to see these guys get out there. We're going to go through the 6 main guys. Is it 6 or 5? Main guys, 6 guys. And I'm going to start with the least important, in my opinion, and that's PJ Hall. It's not that he's not important. He's on a 2-way contract, but he's not a guy that will, by any stretch, in my opinion, have an immediate impact on this team. The big questions I have for him is you see his college stats from last year. Number one, can he defend? I mean, if he's going to be an NBA player, especially, I mean, he's a center. I don't think he's a power forward. He doesn't have the body for it. Can he defend at the NBA level? And then which skills translate? Because he does have, I think, a very college big man game, to be honest with you. And I'm just curious to see how much that translates. What do you think about those questions? And then maybe you have another one, Grace?
For PJ Hall, it's funny. I wasn't really thinking about him too much until this morning when people were talking about the German national team in the Olympics. And it came to me that my favorite comp for him is like Mo Wagner.
Okay.
If he could become
way taller, though.
But he's like, but that like crazy energy from like a skilled enough big that could be a bench backup big, you know, that's kind of what I want to see. And that's the vibe that I've gotten from what we understand from these summer league practices.
He's the kind of guy that I think looked really big and athletic in college.
Going to look small in the NBA.
Yeah, like how, and he looked big in that scrimmage we watched. But again, summer league team and a small summer league team. So
I didn't even think he looked that big. Like, he looked strong, but he didn't tower over people.
I guess
he was
what
below
I mean
the
to say,
rim.
He played big.
Yeah.
Like I just look, if that makes sense, like it was forceful. It looked like no one wanted to be in his way when he was going to dunk or in grabbing rebounds. So he played big. But always a question for bigs coming out of college is how big do they look and how big can they play at the next level? Can shoot a little bit. Look, for anyone looking to play in the modern NBA, it can't hurt if that translates. And especially if you're going to be a smaller option at 5, then you definitely want to have a little pick and pop in your game. And he's told us that's something he thinks he can bring. So hopefully that translates for him.
I think the three-point shot probably could be added to the list because, again, that's how he described himself, as I'm a guy that can space the floor. I'm skeptical of it, but we'll see it at the summer league level. I don't want to spend too much time on him, though. I just don't think he's too important. Trey Alexander could be, though. Michael Malone clearly loves him. Very into Trey Alexander. But what he kept saying was he's a combo guard, and Trey Alexander said this as well. I can play the point. Michael Malone thinks he can play the point. So that's my number one question. How well does he play the point? Because at least in the scrimmage, in the little bit I've seen of him, more of a 2 than a 1 stylistically from what I've seen. And then can he handle the physicality? And, of course, can he defend? He says, it was funny that he said he models his game after DeJounte Murray as a two-way player.
Sure looks like him.
Well, he does kind of look like him, but I also am like, DeJounte Murray? I don't know. Better guys you can mold your game
it's
after.
Actually a good comp because what DeJounte Murray is really good about is telling everyone that he's a great defender.
That's right.
And then not playing.
And that's exactly right. Anyway, the bigger thing to me is the point guard play. I just want to see if he's put in that position to run point, especially if Pickett's not on the court. And how does he look? Does he actually look like a point guard in those moments?
Yeah, the playmaking is the biggest question for me about him in summer league. Like you said, can he handle the physicality? Does his scoring translate against summer league physicality anyway? That would be nice to see. But if we could see more of that playmaking side, because like you said, Malone does seem really enthusiastic about him, but being able to play the point means having a little bit more court vision than we've seen from him thus far.
Right.
But who knows? It might be in his bag.
And I don't even know if it's court vision because I think he's a guy that can be a good passer. He averaged 4.5 over 4.7 assists per game in college. Like, he can pass. But there's a difference between being a scorer who can sees a guy open versus a guy who's a point guard, which is like, what are we running? We're running a pick and roll here. Where do I need to go? And to me, he looks more like a scorer.
Right, well, he is one. But so the question, I think, is if that's part of the development path for him, as Malone's already talked to him about, by the way. So
he's like, look, man, I'm not going to play Pickett, so you have a chance here.
Can he blend the mentality a little bit? But approach and mentality are probably key for me because to the point you were just making, when he mentioned Jamal Murray as a player he likes and a player he emulates, he said it's his scoring out of the pick and roll.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He didn't just say pick and roll. It's his scoring out of the pick and roll. Mm-hmm. Now, he also had some other answers where he thinks patience is important for him. He wants to try to be a playmaker. But I do think he'll be fighting a bit uphill against his nature, which is to get buckets.
But maybe he doesn't need to, and this is where it's weird almost being framed as this point guard, because I agree. Like, I think Murray was a good scorer who has made himself into a good pick-and-roll passer in particular. I don't know if Murray's a great passer, like point guard all around, but so much of today's NBA is pick-and-roll, dribble, handoff, and he's a really good passer in that. And maybe that's all Trey Alexander doesn't need to think about. The other part of it, it's just, hey, in pick and roll, can you hit the roll man? Can you see the skip pass? Can you figure out how to draw those guys in and finish? To me, that's the point guarding I want to see from him.
Yeah, creating passing angles out of pick and roll too.
Yep.
Not just making the read, but creating
them,
that opportunity.
Draw the guy in, drag him where you need, and there it is. Now it's open. Hunter Tyson is my next least important guy, which is strange because I think he's kind of important. Maybe you guys disagree. Look at these stats from last year, by the way. 21 points per game in last year's Summer League. Shot 50% from 3 on over 7 attempts. This one was hard for me to put up. Is he more confident, aggressive? I think this is a big thing. He looked like it in our scrimmage. Guys, you can tell the second year they just have more aggressiveness to them because they are like they know where they fit in. I want to know if he can defend, especially big. And then 7 threes per game. I keep thinking about this. Hunter can get on the court this year. I'm not counting him on it, but he can get on because Denver needs shooting. And the making we know he can do. He's a good shooter. 7 threes or more. If he got like to 9 threes a game in his minutes this year, I'd look at that and go, that to me is as important as anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think the can he defend is more important for me than anything, as well as he talked about quickening his shot release, and that was something that whenever he did get on the floor in garbage time was a concern for me, just because he does have a bit of a slower release, and versus NBA athleticism and those kinds of closeouts, he did not look comfortable. So that kind of plays into the how aggressive will he be, but I think part of being able to be that aggressive is quickening the shot release.
And then I'm actually kind of curious about just some of the other things and if they can pop at Summer League. One of the other things that's been highlighted is cutting, and that's a hard thing the spacing is probably, it's not optimal at Summer League, and chemistry isn't optimal, so it's not, it may not be the kind of thing that shines, but he flew around that scrimmage. There was a year 2 confidence, and even just the rebounds he tried to get, just there's like a kind of bullying those guys a little bit, and I expect him to bring that to the game because he's also, you hear shooting, you hear finesse, but he's a big guy and he's pretty long. So I just will he look assertive in that way? Will him playing really hard kind of pop? And I think it can.
Let's get to Jalen Pickett, my guy. We have DaRon Holmes. To me, the third most important guy. Again, more because there's just a runway here. It's his first one. How versatile is he on defense, to me, is the big one. And I think that this is a double-edged question. He's a tweener in an interesting way. He's a little skinny, obviously, but he's long. Can he guard the perimeter is one of the questions. Like, he did it at the college level, but at the NBA level, if he gets switched out on some of these quicker guards, how does he move his feet? Does he look like he can do it? But then the other direction, what happens if he gets a big guy inside? Can he hold his own and use his length, or does he just get pushed under the basket? So I want to see how versatile is he on defense. Does he find ways to impact every game? This is my big thing. DaRon Holmes has a great motor. Does it translate to impacting the game? Does he just do stuff? Oh, look at that, 2 steals and a block and 9 rebounds. I want to see if he does that kind of stuff. And then lastly, can he shoot? I've heard he's had a phenomenal shooting week with training camp or this pre-Summer League camp. He'll probably won't get a ton of opportunities, but does he make the ones he get? But the big one to me is versatility on defense, Grace.
Yeah, I remember from an article that Matt Brooks with Nuggets Media wrote that Cal was specifically, looking for a productive big off the bench, and when he was talking about drafting DaRon, and so being able to impact a game in any way, regardless of how well you're shooting, is something that stood out for me in Malone's Summer League Media was yesterday or a couple days ago. He was talking about watching DaRon start to mentally get acclimated to all the systems, terminology, and all of that. I just want to see him look comfortable, particularly on offense, just fitting into the system, but also not overthinking it. Like, I just want to see him play his game, as they say.
I think that's a real interesting...
It's a great note, I think.
Note, because I actually think that's going to be a thing that he struggles with here. And that's part of the impact is... This team is not geared towards him necessarily this Summer League. So can you, and the Nuggets are not going to be geared toward you at all. Can you make an impact when the game's not geared toward you?
I love your note. You had the word comfort. I had the word composure, and I think we're getting at the same thing. And like you said, Malone talking about showing up a lot coming out in day 1, day 2, day 3.
Right.
He gets used to it. And I also think part of it is, I think part that could be going into a sensation of overwhelmed initially is he's very excited. Like, he's the pick. He's got chance here. He's got opportunity here. You want to make an impact. But can you merge that with taking a deep breath, playing the right way, playing with composure? And I think sometimes at Summer League, that's what you see is there's so much pent up energy from a lot of guys that one of the hardest things to do is take a deep breath and slow down.
The next one is my guy, Jalen Pickett.
He's your guy?
He's my guy, man. I don't know if you heard. Last year, let's look at the numbers. 12.5 points a game, 5.5 assists a game, 4.5 rebounds a game, 43% from three, and he took 2.8 a game. Can he play faster? We've talked about this a lot. This is my big note. I just want to see if... I think part of what people are so frustrated, they say he can't dribble. He can dribble. It's just he plays slow and has a weird style. So can he play faster? How well does he control the game? This is a big one that I think that is still in the air for him. You know, playing your style, but do you get the ball where it's supposed to go? Do you get it quickly? And then the last one to me is just as important. Is he the leader? He needs to be the leader. He's a second-year player. He's the point guard. There shouldn't be as much confusion, although I am curious this Trey Alexander, if we end up getting into hey, Pickett, you're in the corner for the next quarter, and Trey Alexander's running point. Like, that would, I think, set him up to fail. But is he the leader of the team? That's one of my big questions.
Yeah, that's the big one for me as well. It was, I think, the very last bullet point when Malone was asked specifically about what he wants to see from Pickett. But I think that's so important from a floor general kind of point guard. Like, that is what you're bringing to the floor. You're organizing everybody. You're getting them in their spots. You're setting everybody up. You're creating shots for them. And in order to do that effectively, you need to kind of command the floor. And we saw a little bit of like hesitation in that regard last Summer League, where whenever he did have the ball in his hands, the team was operating pretty smoothly, but there was some not conflict, but you just didn't know the pecking order because Colin was also there. There were a lot of 2-point guard lineups. We didn't know what was going on. Now that he is the clear like point guard here, regardless of how Trey is going to be used. There should be a clear pecking order, and we should see that consistent leadership from him. And so that's what I'm expecting to see from Pickett.
And then defensively, how does he hold up? I think in shoes, he's listed at 6'4".
He's not. He's 6'2". He's 6'1" or 6'2".
He's small, man. Short. And I say that with some self-awareness. But he's strong. He's big. He's broad. So how does he hold up?
And physical.
And physical. So how does he hold up defensively? And how can he play up defensively as needed? Yeah. And that's always a question for any guard who's closer to 6 feet than 6'5" for sure.
Yeah. I'm looking for a big Summer League from Pickett, man. I just think this team should be set up. The Trey Alexander piece will be interesting, but I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic for it. Let's take a quick break on the other side. Julian Strawther, as well as our snake draft. Vegas, the perfect Summer League Vegas trip on the other side.
You know where we're going to stay?
Yes.
In Vegas, Adam? Where? Tell the people.
Circa Hotel and Casino.
Circa Resort and Casino. So close. So close.
That was so close.
It's Vegas' first ever adults-only casino resort. That might sound weird. It's actually not. It's way less weird than bringing your kids to Vegas, I'll tell you that. Save time checking IDs at the bar because they've already checked your IDs at the door. You can't get in if you're not an adult. What a treat. The world's largest sports book is in there as well. 3-story stadium style. That's big. Tons of VIP seating. The casino's pretty big too. 7,000 square feet casino.
That's pretty big.
That's pretty big with 2 levels. 1,322 slots, Grace.
It rules, man. I can't wait to get back. I can't wait.
Oh, I can't
wait. It looked
wait.
awesome when you guys were there last year.
It's cool as hell, man.
It's our headquarters in the desert, man.
You should see how you go to the pool, how you ride that giant escalator that takes like 8 minutes to go to.
Oh, yeah.
It feels amazing.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Feels exclusive.
And the pool he's talking about is Stadium Swim, which is a 4,000 person capacity pool with a 143 by 40 foot LED screen featuring your favorite bets, your favorite teams, your favorite games. It's open 365 days a year, baby, because Vegas, it stays hot.
It does.
So stay cool. Stay wet.
We're doing 2 shows at Stadium Swim outside.
Can't
wait.
Not in the pool.
You might see one of us die on television.
I wish we could do it in the pool.
Yeah, well, for sure. Eric's going to be he's not going to be on the show that day. Guaranteed.
Bigger life risk. Bringing the equipment into the water or just sitting out in the heat.
Dude, I'm telling you, we all had to make this as behind the scenes. We had to pick early shows and late shows. I was like, what days are we indoor? Early shows. What days are we outdoor? I'm not getting up early in the morning, hungover, to be at 110 degrees.
Experience Stadium Swim. Watch your favorite teams at Circa Resort and Casino.
We might have to do that shirtless that day.
Oh,
going to be a
boy.
tough one.
It's going to be a tough
Tough
one.
one for all of you.
Oh, God, yeah. No one wants that. You know what I do want? Miller Lite. Probably going to enjoy a few of those when I'm hanging out at Stadium Swim. Because, first of all, they're the best bang for your buck in Vegas. You're not going to do better than a Hotel Miller Lite or Casino Miller Lite. So do that because it's the best bang for your buck and it's the best light beer around. It's because the first light beer that was around. So they haven't changed anything. They've got the formula that works. Many have tried. All have failed to emulate the great taste of Miller Lite. More of the stuff you want, less of the stuff you don't. The original light beer since 1975. Times do change, but you can always enjoy the great taste of Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller Lite. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/DNVR, or you can find it pretty much any. You guys know about Miller Lite, man. You know how to find it and get it. It's all over the place because it's so good. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces.
All right, back here, final segment, DNVR Nuggets Podcast on a Thursday. We are off tomorrow as we travel to Vegas, but we will be back on Saturday recapping the game that the Nuggets play Friday night, which should be a great time. All right, the last guy we have to talk about, who I think is the most important player, is Julian Strawther. Why is he the most important? He's the one that's in line for the most minutes. Could change, but I think it's most likely. How much can he expand his game as number one? Much has been discussed about Michael Malone's comment about, hey, could he be a sort of break glass in case of emergency point guard for us? If he could play point guard just to a level of it's not true point guard play, but we don't need a point guard on the court right now, that could actually help Denver. That could give them some flexibility.
Right.
So how much is the ball in his hands and how much can he expand his game? Is his shot consistent? I almost put on here that I want to see him make a bunch of threes, but the truth is I just want him to see him be consistent with his shot if possible. He's probably only going to play 2-3 games, I would guess. Just make some threes in all of those. And then is he more confident, comfortable, and aggressive, just like Hunter Tyson? But for me, the expanding his game is the big part. Grace, what do you think?
I want him to look like he shouldn't be playing in Summer League.
You want him to look that good?
Yeah. If he's only going to be playing a couple of games, that's how good I want him to look. Otherwise, I would like him to play all of the Summer League games. I really liked what I saw from Julian last year, both in Summer League and throughout the regular season when he was part of the rotation, because I feel like despite missing a lot of shots, we basically saw his floor because we saw what he looks like when he's not making shots. He plays hard. He runs the floor. He rebounds. He was playing passing lanes on defense, all of that stuff. So I want to see more of that upside pop with him, especially offensively.
Yeah.
And I'll actually just go there for you. I do want to see him make a bunch of threes because I think shot making is a big part of his ceiling that you were just talking about in his upside.
You know what? You talked me into it. You're right. I need to see it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of his shooting looked rushed and quick last. I thought last year.
Yes.
And as a year 2 player at Summer League, does it all look slower for him? And is that skill able to pop?
You're right.
And that's so him looking comfortable and consistent from 3 would go a long way for me. As well as the secondary playmaking stuff, obviously, since Malone has highlighted that as something they want to see from him going forward.
I like your great point here because
Hey, thanks, man.
Shot making, especially when you transfer from one level to the next, a lot of that is about the speed of the game, right? Like, oh my God, everything's a little quicker, so my shot's a little quicker and rushed. I do think the game has slowed down for him, but this is also why I said consistent shot making. Julian is a weird example of a guy who makes a lot of threes, but his misses are horrible. Like he'll airball and hit the back of the and you just go like, how could you have missed that much? You don't see a lot of great shooters that do that. And again, I think that had more to do with timing and speed and everything else and adjusting to it. But this year, I just don't want to see games where he has 1 or 2 shots where you're like, man, that was really off. How did he miss a shot like that? It would mean something to me. But the expanding his game is the part. I just want to see, is the ball in his hands? Is he running pick and rolls? Is he making passes? Is he the guy? I mean, do you think he should be the guy? Is it... You know what? You want to see him look like he's a good player, but does he need to look like he's the guy of the team? He's the number one?
Not necessarily, no.
I agree. I don't think so either.
I think he can pop the way that I want to see him if he plays a role that's pretty similar to what he's going to play in the rotation, with, a couple more possessions where he does some stuff on ball.
Right.
But a lot of what he's going to do is going to be off ball, so.
I don't know if that's true, though. I actually would not be surprised if they put him on ball more than we...
In the rotation? In
Summer League. No, in Summer League.
Okay,
Sorry, in Summer League.
Yeah.
I kind of think we're going to get a healthy dose of Julian doing stuff we don't expect.
I mean, they straight up said they're looking to expand his game, particularly through putting the ball in his hands as a playmaker. So something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of here. This is basically our Friday. We're going to snake draft now the perfect summer league Vegas trip. And this is unlike most snake drafts. I mean, last, Kale, what's going on here? Every time last?
You can blame Emma. She made the order.
Oh, I do. I would have known if you would have told me that. So we're going to have, you have a drink of choice. What are you drinking? What are you eating at the buffet? What game are you gambling? What show are you going to? This one's really tough. There's not really any shows I want to see in Vegas. And then what summer league player are you picking to have a great summer league? Vote, you got the first pick, of course.
Okay, so this is not one for the votes, as in the voters, I should say. This is one for just keeping it real. Anyone who's seen me in Vegas knows this is true. It is the tequila and mango frozen smoothie on the. And then can you put?
Isn't that a margarita though?
Nope, it's a tequila mango smoothie. And then can you put parentheses concourse for me, because that's very important.
Oh, you're getting this at the. You're saying at the game. He's getting this at.
Yeah, no, because Adam usually gets credentialed.
I know. I can't do this.
I have been credentialed for the NBA Finals, not Summer League.
Okay.
But so what I do is I drink the concourse smoothies.
Oh my god!
And they're a real treat.
Dude, you took up 2 lines.
You will?
Just do tequila.
No, I like it that way.
Oh my god!
Thank you, Kale.
All right, Grace, what are you drinking while you're in Vegas?
I'm going to go to my go-to, which is a Jameson and ginger ale.
Oh,
I
that's a
love
good pick.
whiskey.
It's a great pick.
Whiskey's great.
And it's nice and easy. So
There you go.
something refreshing, especially because Vegas has like broken the record for consecutive
Yeah,
days
oh my
over
God.
115.
Oh, I can't wait,
so
dude.
The frozen one might work. All right. My real answer to this would be an old fashioned typically.
Oh yeah.
But you know, a lot of people, you go to Vegas, you have to play, you're playing blackjack, you lose $200, but you get 1 free drink.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's so great, free drinks, right?
What a
fellas?
deal.
What a deal.
What a steal.
But you have to maximize it. So Long Island iced tea, you're sitting at the table, you gotta go fast. We're doing Long Island iced teas.
Dude, nothing. My favorite Adam vibe is getting more free drinks at the table.
Dude,
No-
I
no
love
one
free
loves it
stuff,
more,
man.
dude.
It's like a cultural thing. If you grow up in a certain way, it's like free. It doesn't matter what it is. Costco.
Right off the bat, he gives the server a huge tip, and he just goes, keep it coming.
Let's
It's
go.
also so funny. He gets super annoyed when they don't come around often
yeah.
enough.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, can we?
Where are
can
we at?
Can we get
fellas?
some more
Can we get
drinks?
some
Yeah.
more beer? Losing money at the table.
All right.
Buffet food item. I can't believe I got number 1 on this. This is absolutely fantastic. It's prime rib. You go to the buffet, you eat like 7 prime ribs. That's how that's 90% of what you're doing at
That's
the
a
buffet.
great answer.
So for this one, I was gonna say shrimp, but we're in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's better
So
than
I'm gonna
shrimp.
go with tacos because
Really?
the best
Okay.
tacos I've ever had in my life I had in Las Vegas.
Where at?
It's the one on the strip that's called I think it's like El Gordo's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Delicious.
All right. Some tacos.
I have a favorite buffet food ever since I watched WWE's The Great Khali put down like maybe 30 of these in one sitting. Can I get crab legs, please? On the
It's-
can I
that
get-
honestly should have been number 1.
Yeah, can I get
absolutely-
crab legs?
Should have been
Oh,
number
man.
1. They saw him for you and everything.
I feel like Vote's gonna win this.
I know, vote.
He's so good at
he's
these.
so good.
Number 1 gambling game? Oh, I get to go first on this, and I
Can't
was
believe
worried.
this.
Blackjack, put it on the
It's
board.
the best.
Of course.
Come
I'd
on.
trade you my first 2 picks to get blackjack. Come
Blackjack
on.
with the fellas,
It's the best.
gender
vibe.
neutral fellas, the best.
Golden Gate tomorrow night. Can't wait.
Can't wait.
All right. Well, I obviously would have said blackjack, but I think I'm gonna go with craps.
Okay,
Okay.
good
Because
answer.
it is
A lot of people
incredibly
like that one.
stimulating, and
Yeah.
you get to just kind of feel the crowd around you,
Sure.
and
a
you
good
know
answer.
keep the buzz going.
Craps is a lot of fun. I don't have the focus for it though. That's why blackjack's my game. Here I'll go poker. I don't like the roulette wheel. I don't like, I'm not playing slots. I got stuck with the last pick on this one, poker. Poker is fun, but it's not a summer league fun. It's a very solo fun.
Going undrafted. I'm shocked.
Man, the show here. I can't believe I got the first pick here. I really wanted the buffet and the show pick number 1. So I get this one. The Sphere, baby. Give me the Sphere. That's by far the top
By the
show
way,
you're going
yeah,
though.
and thank you for specifying. That's a venue. So Kale's just
The
going to fix
Sphere
this.
is why you go. You go to the Sphere.
Anything at the Sphere.
Anything at the Sphere.
All right. Well, since Adam decided to sell, I'm gonna go with Cirque du Soleil here.
There you go.
because that's just always an awesome show.
I've seen like 4 of them. They're awesome.
All amazing.
They're all amazing.
There's
really
so much
cool.
work that goes into them in terms of the detail. I love the costuming, especially.
Yeah,
Kale,
I do too.
you're
Just
good.
guessed. Yes, man, you're right.
You know
Fix
what?
it later.
I would never spell anything live on the air.
That's
I
so
simply
true.
would
I think it has
refuse.
another L at the end. So Lel Solier.
Kale, if I were a man made for money,
Soleil?
I'm gonna be honest. You guys could find me at the Usher residency shows.
Really?
Yeah,
You'd go watch Usher, huh?
I would.
All right. Usher. You could just say Usher. I don't think you need
Nope,
to.
I want
All right,
residency
there it
there.
is.
Thank you.
All right, now the Summer League player.
I just get to pick a player
You
that's
just get
gonna
to
play
pick.
well.
I mean, you can pick a Nugget, I would hope, but
Yeah, I was gonna say Bronny James.
Oh,
I'll
God.
take.
Okay.
I'll take. No, I'm gonna take Hunter S. Tyson.
oh man, Hunter S. Tyson is so good.
I'm gonna go with Trey Alexander because I want to know if he actually plays like Jamal Murray in person. Because
No.
Jamal's my favorite player after Jokic, of course.
Really?
You
You just
just-
said that you have been talking bad mouthing him.
Absolutely, but it's all out of love.
All right.
Yeah,
That is a tough love. I can't believe I get my boy.
yeah.
I got a great
can.
draft. Jalen Pickett. Give it to me, man. He's going to be incredible. He's going to win hearts and minds in this Vegas. I'm going to eat a prime rib. I'm going to go to the Sphere.
It's a good draft, man.
I'm going to drink a lot of Long Island iced teas.
I gotta be honest. I like all of these trips. I think you all did a good job.
These all look
This is
fun.
great.
You know
This
what?
looks
Thanks,
fun.
Kale.
Vegas is fun for like 48 hours. It's not bad. All right. We got some super chats.
We do.
Live from the Toyota Lounge.
Sasha N in
Toyota
the
chat.
Toyota chat. With the reports that the Pels are exploring trade options for Brandon Ingram.
Oh, I love when you
would a
have to read
Brandon
these.
Ingram, I know, for MPJ makes sense for both teams.
What do you think, Vote?
No. Even if Brandon Ingram leaves the following year, the Nuggets would have more cap flexibility. Yes, but then they would have Brandon Ingram, so consider that. Grace?
No.
Why?
There's a reason he hasn't been moved yet.
It's so true.
He wants to be paid like a number 2, but I don't think he's, even at his peak, I don't see him as a number 2 on a title team.
Here's the honest thing about this, and this is a situation I am familiar with. Brandon Ingram sits out way more games than he should, and that drives the Pelicans nuts. Like, hey man, why are you not playing? It's a lot, maybe more so than anybody in the NBA. His reputation is that he misses the most games. Michael Porter won't sit.
Yeah.
He's had 3 back surgeries. He lost one time. They didn't bring his right shoes. He didn't sit. That's the only reason. Those two guys are opposites in terms of like, who do you want on your squad just for a care factor?
It's so true, man. It's so true. What else do we have? Jose Aviles. I can't believe you guys didn't give a shout out to Davon Reed.
Shout out
on
Davon
Team
Reed.
PR.
Puerto Rico. That's right. He
Dude,
is.
that's right.
Oh,
Jose,
he's playing?
Yes, he
great
is.
shout out,
I didn't
Jose.
realize that.
Great shout out. Also, Puerto Rico basketball back in the Olympics since 2004. Don't sleep on them, Team USA.
I've been saying don't sleep on him, man. But it is true. Davon Reed, he did play in the qualifiers. We'll be on the squad.
Will Jones,
Your partner.
your co-host. What's in a game?
Yes.
What's in a game, correct?
Once in a game podcast.
Will Jones. Hi, Grace. I know you could school the Nuggets on texting etiquette. Perfect opportunity, and it's cool seeing y'all together.
Do you have
Did
to,
I like not respond to a message or something? I don't
Really?
know.
Yeah,
I'm not
probably.
sure.
I
what
think he's
he's
taking a
referring
shot
to.
at
You guys
you.
know famously this year, Emma, my 22-year-old producer on All NBA, had to teach me not to put a period on the end of a sentence in a
Yeah,
text.
that's like it's just too declarative.
That's why I've learned, and now I've adjusted my texting game.
Generations have different texting etiquettes.
Don't worry,
though.
Adam's a natural at this.
Everybody told me they were like, yeah, man, you always seem pissed off on me at text because you put periods on the end of sentences.
Yeah, but guys, Will is my co-host. He's awesome. We host What's in a Game NBA. You can find us on YouTube, etc. He's like amazing. He's the only reason I'm even in this
He
because
talked
he
you into
does
it?
all of he absolutely talked me into it. He does all of the behind the scenes stuff as well as obviously co-hosting the show with me. Does all the graphics, so he's awesome.
That's
Love
awesome.
Will. We did a Serbian corner together. That's my guy.
Yeah.
And Cedric Exquisite. What a better way to send us to Vegas than another Cedric super chat. Good to see you, Grace. Miss your old hairstyle. Not gonna lie. This one's
Cedric says he'll just tell you.
Yeah, he'll just tell you
No,
just
I
what he's
get
thinking.
it. It was too hot.
Yeah.
It's too hot now.
Well, he's got thoughts. This one's for you, by the way, Grace. What do you think will happen if the Nuggets don't extend Jamal? Thank you.
I think they will. is the thing. Because I think it's pretty bad for both sides if they don't extend Jamal, because what's the option then? Trade him, go into another tense off season, depending on whatever happens next season.
Right.
But you can't trade him to wherever, because the same situation the Cavs were kind of in as everyone contemplated are they going to trade Donovan Mitchell now or hold on to him if they can't extend him? Because if they trade him later, then he can always threaten to walk in free agency. And then we don't get back as much stuff. Like, Jamal is more valuable to us than he is to any other team. So they should extend him. I think they will. Jamal will get the most money from us, I'm pretty sure, especially under the new CBA. So
he was asked, by the way, out in Vegas. Troy Rank asked him about the extension, and he kind of was like, I'm playing the game right now. I'll get to that afterwards. Like, kind of brushed it off as not a big deal. I honestly also think, and again, that there's a little bit overblown with this. I think there's some tension with the Nuggets. I don't think it's specific about Murray or anything else. I think there's tension because the team thought they were going to be on top for longer than they were, and it ended so poorly. And every piece of the organization feels a certain way about things. But I think it's a little overblown to say that there's like this like standoff and whatever.
Yeah,
I just
and
don't
even
think,
if there is, I just see the incentives for both sides overcoming.
Nobody
even
passes
that.
up $208 million of secured money. Like, that would be an insane thing to do.
Yeah, and the Nuggets aren't just going to not sign Jamal. That would also be an insane thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
unless he gets really hurt.
Yeah.
But that's the extenuating circumstance. One more from Cedric. Exquisite. The Las Vegas GOAT drink, pina colada plus champagne whip. Try it.
all right, I'll try it.
All right, brother.
Sounds like a headache, to be honest, like a hangover headache. But
I'm not
I'll
a
do it.
champagne person.
Yeah,
No.
it gives you a headache.
You know what you are, Grace? Podcast person. You were very good. You're natural.
Thank
You
you.
did it very good.
Yeah.
You hit the outro music there, Kale. You did a great job. Is there anything else you want to promote?
No, just check out What's in a Game on YouTube. We're also on Twitter, and we tweet things from the account and from our respective accounts, and on Spotify, etc. Just watch the show, listen to the show.
You've been a welcome addition to the community, and I enjoy seeing you on literally every podcast. I'll do a podcast at 7 a.m.
my
and
gosh.
at midnight. I'll see you there.
Oh my gosh, no way. Oh, shout out to the group chats that have been helping to get me through the off season. The 7, which I came up with the name of, and Mile High Worldwide. Love you guys.
How many people are in the 7?
7.
I would have guessed that. Hit that like button on the way out. We're off tomorrow. We'll see you Saturday from Vegas.
We all silly like the mayor.